by Design, and welcome to Throwback Thursday. This week we're working with an older Authentique collection. This came out, this is called Wintery, W-I-N-T-E-R-Y, and it came out before I had joined the Authentique design team. This was one of the collections that convinced me that this was a team I wanted to go after because I just fell in love with the color palette, the patterns, the images, everything. So I've turned this older collection. I had the 12 by 12 and the 6 by 6. I turned it into a little flip folio. This is super cute. It measures 5.5 by 5.5 with a 1.5 inch spine. Some cute little dangles and baubles suspended from the spine. We got Let It Snow and a snowflake, a little snowman and little mittens. And then here's a look at the back where I just created a wraparound spine. This actually has 3 layers on the spine, so it's quite sturdy. And then on the cover, I used a Renee Bouquet's shadow box and decorated it up with one of her little snowmen and filled it with sequins and the cutest little itty bitty, do you see those itty bitty little snowmen and snowflakes? That's so cute. Then more charms here, a button, Prima flowers. These are little bits and pieces that I snipped out of a floral pick that I got on sale. The floral pick was ugly, but the greenery and the berries were really cool. And then these are Prima flowers, I believe from their Capri collection, and then mittens and a snowman button from Buttons Galore and More. I wrapped this with May Arts ribbon. This is 1.5 inch ribbon that I ripped in half because I wanted it to have this sort of rustic, raggedy edge, but it's got little red and white snowflakes on it, so it's really cute. I got mine at really reasonable ribbon, but it's out of stock. I'm pretty sure you can still get it at May Arts. So this has a very simple design, but it will hold a ton of photos. The front flaps, which the tutorial will show you how to build the basic base. It's not a complete step-by-step tutorial, but really all the elements that you need to build yours. So these are little magnetic flap accordion folios, and they pull out like this. And each of these pages measures 3 3/4 by 5 I think 3 3/4 by 5, yes. And these are put together by joining long strips of Authentique Spectrum cardstock. I just cut them 3 3/4 inches wide and then overlapped the ends to make this big long pullout, and then scored every 5 inches. So these are identical. Everything in this little folio is like mirror images. So there's a lot there. Then this folds open and you've got a double waterfall in the center, and you've got pockets with mini folios on each side. And the little mini folios are 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. This is a 12-inch piece of paper that I just scored every 4 1/4 inches. You have a short end here, but by gluing your 3 by 4 panels of patterned paper back to back, you actually extend this and make it longer. And there's journaling room in the center, and then these just go in these little side pockets. And then these guys both have a magnetic belt that holds them closed. And this one opens to the left, and this one opens to the right. So they are mirror image, which is very fun. And these will hold little 3 by 5 photos, or slightly smaller than 3 by 5, but pretty close to it. And then when you get to the bottom, I just covered up our magnetic belt with a piece of designer paper and a cute sticker from the sticker sheet. So that's pretty much the folio. I love how many photos and how much journaling you can fit in this. It's really beautiful paper. And if you're ready to get your craft on, stick around because the tutorial is coming up next. Hello friends, Kathy Clement with Kathy by Design. I'm glad you could join me here today. Today we're going to make a really cute little folio. And I'm going to dress this up with an older Authentique collection. I always liked that saying, make new friends but keep the old. So I just want to show you very quickly how I put the base together. This is 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And I cut each one on the long side at 5.5 inches. So I had two 5.5 by 11-inch panels. And then I joined them together in the center just by overlapping about 1/4 of an inch. And then I came in with my scoring tool and I scored at 4.25 and 4.5. And then I measured over 5.5 inches and scored. Then I measured 1.5 inches and scored. Then I measured over another 5.5 inches and scored. And then 1/4 inch from that, I scored again. And then I trimmed this last panel down so that it also measures 4.25. So I know that's a lot of numbers, but basically what you have is a 4.25 inch panel, a 5.5 inch panel, a 5.5 inch panel, and a 4.25 inch panel, and a 1.5 inch spine. So these little flaps are going to fold in like this, and then the whole little folio will go like this. And here's our spine. Then I came back in with Spectrum Tricycle Red, and I cut just a little narrower than the 1.5 inch, and I wrapped this piece around the spine. And this is just to strengthen it. And then I lined each of these pieces. This is 4.25, so I cut it 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then this is 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. So you can see. And this just makes it, it's amazing how sturdy this makes these little folios. So on the cover, on the front, I cut the little mitten paper, and I'll just show you. This is one of my favorites. It's called Wintery. And I have a lot of the 6x6 left, and I have a little bit of the 12x12 left. I actually purchased this before I became a member of the Authentique design team. So we're going back a ways here. This is a real throwback. But I love the soft grays and blues and reds. It's very shabby. And the images, let me see if I can find an image sheet for you. Yeah, the images are gorgeous. They're just really, really special. So that is what we're working with. That's how you put the base together. I'm gonna take a little time here. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do, except that I know this is going to be a double waterfall feature. And one of them's gonna open to the right, and one of them's, one's gonna open to the left and one's gonna open to the right. I know that. And then probably some sort of little pocket tag detail here, and then a vertical something here. But it's going to be fun. I haven't figured it all out, so I'm going to work on a little bit, then I'll come back, show you what I've done, and tell you how to do it. And don't go away. So for the inside, you can see I've lined my panels, and these are, hold on, and I will tell you, 4 inches by 5 1/4, and then these are 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and this one is 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. So these are all lined. These I want to be, these large ones I want to be our waterfall panels, and we want one to open this way and one to open this way. So let me just move things around here a little bit. I had 2 different releases of the Spectrum Tricycle Red cardstock. One was a little darker than the other, so I put the dark ones on the top. And then this is Spectrum Cobblestone. And I cut these to measure 3 3/4 by 5, and then scored 1/2 inch flap on the side. And this is how we're going to install these. This is just a basic waterfall, really easy. So you're just going to put your adhesive on your flap. Place your flap against the edge of your designer paper and center it at the top and the bottom. Nice and straight, then press that down. Then you don't have to alternate colors. I kind of thought it would be fun. And you can cover these with designer paper or not, however you see fit. I will probably at least decorate the cover on mine. And you can see I'm lining up the fold with the edge of the previous panel each time. And then just flipping it open. You can use score tape. You can use wet adhesive, whatever you like. So I think I can fit one more. I need another gray, which I had, but I lost. Here it is. And you can see how that meets just perfectly. And then when you get to this part, you can cover this with an image. You can turn this into a pocket. But there's that. And that's how you install the waterfalls. You do it the exact same way over here on the right, only you're going to start on this side and go this way. So now that you have both of your waterfalls installed, you want to go ahead and add a little magnetic belt or whatever you want to call it. So to do this, I just take a piece of paper, and this I think is 5 by 1 1/4, and I'm going to put it back behind. I need it to come about in the middle of this front panel. So I just eyeballed that, and I'll tell you where to score it. At 3. So that was easy enough. Put adhesive on this back edge. Line it up here, find the center. Press that in place. Now what you need are magnets, which I should have. Yep. So open your belt out. Take the adhesive off your magnet. And you want to go in at least a 1/2 inch so that you can get your designer paper around that to cover it. And then I put a little piece of score tape. This is a tip that I learned from Ginger Ropp, who is a paper crafting genius at my sister Scrappers. And then you take the other magnet, and it's going to stick. Peel off your sticky. Then bring this over and press it in place. And then when you lift, this magnet is perfectly placed to line up with that magnet. And when you cover this with your designer paper, it will cover up the magnet. So you're going to do that on each side. And moving right along, and I'll finish this up later on my own time. We're going to do pockets, and we're going to follow this same sort of mirror image pattern. And for this, I cut from the 6 by 6 pad these little pockets, and these are 2 1/4 by 6, I believe. And I scored 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, fold, taper your edges. You guys have seen me do this a million times. And if you haven't, I have a whole Paper Crafting 101 on how to make pockets. So you can check that out on my YouTube channel. So I'm just going to place my adhesive along the flaps. There we go. And this pocket is a left-hand pocket. It's going to go right along. Oops, I'll center this up. That's going to go right there on the left-hand side. And then all the way over here, we've got the same thing. We made our pocket the same way. It's just you want to score it on the opposite side. So your flap is going to be on the right. And then just line it up. Oops. I'll make sure I'm doing it in the same as the other one so everything is consistent. And then in here, we're going to make some little trifold folios. These are super cute. And this is just a 3 1/4 by 12-inch piece of paper, and I scored it at 4 1/4 and 4 1/4. And then I cut my liners to be 3 by 4. And when I came over here, this is a short panel. I just glued the 3 by 4 panels back to back. In the center one, I use this grid paper because it's great for journaling. So you can add a photo, a photo, a photo, a photo on the back. And on the front, I just did one of the little 3 by 4 cards. And this is going to tuck right in this pocket, just like that. So same thing over here. I'll show you, this is what it looks like before you add your panel. So see how you have a short panel, but it's very simple, and you just put it together and tuck it in the pocket. So you can see, here's how I finished off these little waterfall pages, and these are fun because they open like a mirror image. And I just covered them with designer paper, cut slightly smaller than the base page. And then on the last page of each one, to cover up our belt, I just put a little panel of paper and then one of the stickers from the sticker sheet. So that's those. Which brings us to these inside flaps. And I did something a little different here that I thought would be sort of fun. So after I covered the base of the page with 4 by 5 1/4 inch paper, I created these little magnetic accordion folios to hold pictures. And I don't know if you can, it's hard to fit that in the camera, but as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 panels on the one side and 3 on the other. So you can get a lot of pictures here, and then there's room up here for journaling. And the way I did this was I just took my Spectrum cardstock and I cut 2 panels of it from the cobblestone gray that were, I want to make sure I give you the right measurements here, 3 3/4 inches wide. And then I scored them on the long side every 5 inches. And that left me with this little short piece. So I trimmed the corners out on this. I added my magnets back behind the designer paper so it has a magnetic closure. And I also had to add a magnet here so that it didn't flap open. And you can hear those. And you put those magnets in just like we did the other magnets. And then what you have is this double pull-out folio on each flap. So as you can see, this little guy can hold a ton of photos. And I didn't decorate these because pictures are going to go there. You could decorate the fronts, but I thought it was really cute just with the little mittens and the little tree bark paper. So that brings us to the front cover, which I really did have fun with. This is, the focal image is a Rene Bouquet snowflake shadow box. And this comes in a kit, and you just build it, and you can, she's got a tutorial online that you can follow to build it. So do that. I filled it with these Buttons Galore and More little sprinklets, the little snowman. Can you see those? How cute are those? Little snowmen. And then I think it's called their, I want to say it's Blizzard, and then Frosty Morning, which is the buttons and stuff. So that's what's in the shaker. This is a Rene Bouquet snowman. And I just put a little of my dries clear down here and some Stampendous shaved ice. And then this is heat embossed with Wow embossing powder. No, I'm sorry, Stampendous Shabby Blue embossing powder. So you build the shaker box just like they say. I matted this on a 3x4 card, and then I added a little foliage bundle over here. These are pulled out of a floral pick from the grocery store, from the craft store. And then these little silver charms, Let It Snow and a Snowflake. These are Buttons Galore mittens and snowmen. And then these are Prima flowers. I think it might be from their Capri collection. So this is a graphic 45 tag that I covered with designer paper from the collection, and then a button from my stash that I topped with a little flower. So that's the cover. And then on the spine, I wrapped, before I put the cover down, I wrapped this with some May Arts ribbon. I think you can still get this at May Arts. I got mine at Really Reasonable Ribbon, but it's out of stock. And then I used one of these doohickeys. I don't know what you call this. I'm going to call it a doohickey. And it created a little bangle here. A lot of these charms are from the Funky Junkie Boutique or from Butterbee Scraps. And just lots of little, look at these cute little mittens and a snowflake. So that is the folio, and here's the back. So now you know how to make this guy. And it's pretty simple, it's pretty basic, but it's a real, it holds a lot of photos, and it's a really fun, sweet little decorative piece as well. You can leave this up all winter because snowmen can go all the way to March. So that's it for me, Kathy Clement, Kathy by Design. I will link to my blog where you can get supply lists and tips and tricks, and I might even try to write down the measurements there for you. Thanks for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up because it helps other crafters to find it. And now I am going to go get my craft on. Bye.